more. We're going to bring in our special guest for today, President of Concerned Women of America and author of 7 Rules for Success in Life, A Women's Guide, Penny Nance. Penny, great to see you.
Great to be here, Tracy.
So I want to circle back and talk about the president's stop in the Poconos last night. What was your big takeaway from that?
Well, first off, I was very pleased that he did it. I think Susie Wiles, listen, she's probably one of the most powerful women in Washington, one of the smartest women in Washington with just a quiet authority. And when she asked him to do it, he understood that he needed to do it. And you look at the numbers, really, when I talk about the economy, when I talk to our members, I sort of realize that, facts don't care about, or your feelings don't care about facts, right? Your feelings don't care about facts. So the fact is that we have about a 3% inflation rate in our country. We certainly have a major debt, $38 trillion in debt in our nation. We have 7 million job openings that need to be filled. So not everybody's looking for a job that needs to. And we have some serious issues. But what we've noticed is since the president has come on board, that gas has gone down, which is extremely helpful, and that is a predicate to inflation and to high prices in a lot of areas. Because when you want to move goods, there's that price is built in, and actually in the fees, the gas it takes to get the goods to the Walmart or where you're going to buy. So all of that changes. We're seeing eggs go down. We're seeing dairy go down. We're seeing goods start to go down. But it's still an issue because we're not back at pre-Biden rates. And, I think people had really major expectations that the president had a magic wand and he could wave it and it was immediately all going to be fixed. No, it takes time to do that. But I was really appreciative of the fact that the president went out in Pennsylvania and talked about the fact that, there's 60,000 new jobs in Pennsylvania. Steel is strong, and really that he understands that we need to keep working. And I think that really is the message as we move towards the midterms that we need to discuss.
Absolutely. And Pennsylvania is a key state,
yes,
as we know very well. Let's talk about the importance of the midterms. And as you mentioned, Susie really pushed the president to go out and do this and really get going on this. What's at stake for Republicans?
Well, I think it says that Republicans can't sit back on their laurels. You can't coast off of what someone else has done. The president's done a lot of great work, and he was reminding people last night of some of those things. The big beautiful bill, no tax on tips, a major tax break for Americans. When you lower the fuel cost, it's as if people got a boost for their pay because they're not having to spend so much, but there's still work to do. And I think that it's really important for Republicans to be very mindful of this, to be talking to their constituents in a way that they can receive it and not above them and not pretending that it's not an issue. And I think that's really where the president is. But also, again, Susie Wiles was right. President Trump isn't on the ballot, but he is. And he has so much authority bringing in those Trump voters. Trump voters aren't necessarily a Republican, it's not necessarily the normal Republican base. These are people that are independents, people that have never voted for a Republican before. And so to energize that base, really only he can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And taking the message to the people where they are. What really struck me last night when I was listening to it, there was a woman who was a waitress and had brought her up on stage, and she talked about how the big beautiful bill is going to be helping her with her tips, overtime for her husband. These are real people and real solutions for them.
For sure. I back in the day was a Cracker Barrel waitress, right in a time all through college, and as a time before I got my first big job on Capitol Hill, I was waitressing at a Cracker Barrel. And really, you get most of your money from tips.
That's right.
And so your hourly rate is very low as a waitress or a waiter. And so, that back in the day, it was a lot of cash, and there was a lot of people didn't want to declare it. I did, but I didn't like it. And other people though didn't. And now it's all on the credit card, so it's all out there. And so people, whether they're bartender or waitress, are losing a lot of their income. I was in the back of a cab or an Uber with a driver one day. I was saying, I left working for Marriott Company. I was working for the hotel because I would go do, I do all this overtime. I'd work 80 hours in a week, and my pay pay wouldn't be any different.
Right.
And he said, I just couldn't do it anymore. And so I really appreciate the president has a real understanding of working people. You know, he's like the blue collar billionaire for sure. Yeah. And I love it that he listened. It was a waitress that actually gave him that idea of no tax on tips. And and he's like, that's a great idea. You just saved me millions of dollars for a focus group. I think I will do that. And I'm really, really glad that he did, because it targets it for the working class people, not more free subsidies for people that don't work, but the people who are trying so hard to feed their families. They're not sitting back and letting other people pay. They're working their way through life, and they just need a little assistance, and they need Uncle Sam off their back.
Yeah, exactly. And those are hard jobs. I too waited tables. I grew up in Pennsylvania. That was my very first job. Yeah. I mean, my feet hurt. It's hard. And you depend, like you said, you depend on those tips. So, this is putting more money back into their pockets, helping their families, and putting more money into the economy as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, he did a great job last night.
I thought so too. So, all right, Penny, stick around. We're going to talk to you a little bit later on. Okay, thank you so much.